प्रेमामृतां वनिधि तत्त्वातो नमसे समण्डलपति शनिं सदा तुच्छम भूत्वा दीनगणेशकरुकरुणया कोऽपि न कण्ठासितौ तत्त्वातो नमसे समण्डलपति शनिं सदा तुच्छम भूत्वा दीनगणेशकरुकरुणया कोऽपि न कण्ठासितौ गोपी भावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नोन्मुहो वन्दे रूपसनातन रघुजगं श्रीजीवगोपालकौ कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परं प्रेमामृतां वनिधि कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परं प्रेमामृतां वनिधि पूजत कोकिलहंस सारसगणकीर्णमयूराकुले नानारत्ननिबद्धमूलपिटप श्रीयुक्तवृन्दावने राधाकृष्णमहर्निशं प्रव्रजतौ
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and welcome, Vijaya Pandit, from Italy, now visiting Twain Heart with Yashodanandana Prabhu, and all the other people that are participating in our weekly sadhana program. And this sadhana is based on, Michael, on hearing the original philosophy unchanged by Srila Prabhupada for all of our benefits, because it is important to maintain the integrity of Prabhupada's message. Prabhupada said in a lecture I recently listened to, what is the value of a book of knowledge being changed by a third-class person? What's the value of it? And that is the particular situation that's happened in Prabhupada's wonderful movement, the Hare Krishna movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which we have been a part of for over 50 years. Yes. We have some great memories of Srila Prabhupada when he was present with us in his vapu, his form. And it is penetrated into our consciousness. When you come to the classes, you see that. I mean, Yashodanandana Prabhu, our godbrother, he gives us constant pastimes of Srila Prabhupada in his speeches, constant. And it enables us, Mother Rochisha, Devi Dasi, to feel that we're a part of that great movement that he started. That's what it does. It inspires. It's called inspiration by association. No association, no inspiration. And people that attend the class, they listen and they try to follow the instructions that are given here for the benefit of everyone in Krishna consciousness, striving to be serious. Prabhupada said, there is no need of taking up association. I'm paraphrasing. Of a guru, if you're not serious, don't do it. So Prabhupada is present in his Vani incarnation. We're representing that. And the instructions are there, clear, but people ignore them. Why? Because they're not very advanced. They're fools. People don't like when I say that. Oh, you're a fool. I don't mean it in a derogatory sense. I mean it in a way to explain to people that if you get a good instruction, Prabhupada gave the example, Ram Raghava, of a child. He's taught by his parents, don't put your hand in the fire. And what does he do? Boom. And what happens? His hand gets burnt. So you get good instruction from a bona fide disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and you don't listen. And when you don't listen, guess what? You'll be punished. That's the way it is. There's nothing more glorious than this movement that Srila Prabhupada started in. Actually, he started back in the 40s and then further advanced it in 1965 when he came to America. Yes. And so this movement has a wonderful history and a great opportunity, just like, for example, Jesus Christ. I know some of you may be familiar with some of his instructions, but at the same time, he had apostles. Do you recall that, Dasa Avatar? That Jesus had some apostles. These were, how many were there? 12 apostles? Yeah. So there was 12 apostles. I was raised as a Roman Catholic, but, that wasn't a great experience for me. But at the same time, there were 12 apostles. So Prabhupada, he had some devotees, some disciples, and some of them stayed on and maintained Krishna consciousness throughout their life, and some don't. But do people appreciate that? No. They don't listen. They don't listen because they're caught up in their own mental speculation. That's what they do. And they want to minimize us. Go ahead. You think that these people that were following Christ were important? Of course, they're still remembered. But here, no. They don't. People generally don't listen. In fact, rather than don't listen, they reject what is being said for the sake of their own personal opinion. Oh, I think it's this or that. Okay, go ahead. That's all right. You're fine. Stay in your dream world. That's okay. Because that's all you're doing is dreaming, and death will come. And when it does, your karma will be counted. Because you did not listen. If you don't listen, you can't learn. That's the way it is. I don't know. We carry on with this all the time. But the fact of the matter is, people have very little respect for anybody nowadays, whether it's in the karmi world or the so-called spiritual environments that we are exposed to. People do not listen, and they don't know how to discriminate. And that's very sad. So enough of that. I was looking at today's diaries, sorry. And I really enjoy the diaries. I think all of you have. We've read them through 3 or 4 times. And we're just finishing the second volume of the diaries that were printed by, I believe it was by Ramananda and his brother for us. I think so. Anyway, like you said, Yashoda Nandana Prabhu, Brahmananda came to my house with his brother. What was his name now? Gargamuni. They stayed here for a couple of days, actually. We had a Sunday feast program and all kinds of people were invited. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed association with both of them. And I bought these books. We got a bunch of books from our members back then. We've been doing preaching programs over the years, trying to keep, but we got these books. And they become a very valuable asset in my library because they give us information about Prabhupada's personal activities back in 1965. And I looked at a section here today in the end of the book where there's different letters and instructions. And this is an excerpt from a conversation in Toronto in June 21st, 1976, which I was present for. Interesting, eh? Unfortunately, Kirtananda was there. And he was a scoundrel. And even though he was in front of Prabhupada, he was still in the closet, a deceptive individual that was disobeying Vijaya Pandit, disobeying in front of Prabhupada his direct orders, and was ambitious, very. And this whole situation that's evolved in our movement of misinformation is because of people like him. Yeah, it's been perpetrated on. Now it's a deep, deep disease. It's very deep. It's actually, I don't think it can ever be corrected. Only people like ourselves who understand it, understand that we should avoid it, Michael. Just avoid the whole thing. Forget about it. Sounds like some guy from New York, an Italian. Forget about it. Just forget about it. That's what you got to do. Just forget about it. Because the more you talk about it, the more it infects your mind and it disturbs, very disturbs us, disturbs us. That's what happens. And you think, then you get angry, eh? And then you want to go do something. Well, the only thing to do is forget about it. Here we're going to go to this excerpt from the conversation in a car in Toronto. Remember, I was the driver of all these rides. Prabhupada, I took the opportunity, Michael, to become the chauffeur when Prabhupada came to Toronto because I was the president. That's the only liberty I took. I'm going to drive. And did I ever talk in the car, Ram Raghava? No, I didn't. I was afraid to say anything. One, because I'd look stupid probably. And number two, I had to watch the car that I didn't get in an accident so I could protect our guru from any kind of trouble. So this is a wonderful conversation. I had a chance to review it this morning before the class. And it's really inspiring. That's all I can say. It's just very inspiring to go back in time and hear Prabhupada speak. Prabhupada, you all have got this experience. This is the only way I started the movement on this determination that they have nothing to give simply by propaganda. They are exacting so many people and befooling them. And I'll give them prasad, nice chanting, and they will not come. They must come. This was my determination. Determination. And I began with this, so this is the only way. Give them a chance. No talk. Please come, chant and dance with us and take Krishna Prasadam and go home. The formula. Very interesting. Trying to convince people may be difficult. Give them Prasadam, offer it, and give it to them properly. Have them chant Hare Krishna, and gradually their impure state will become rectified. And if they're sincere, they'll be anxious to take up spiritual life. Now here is Kirtananda. It's hard to even say his name. I think that it was just 10 years ago when I first met you. Oh, wow, yeah. Who cares? Who cares about this guy? Prabhupada was very tolerant, Vijay Pandit. He knew, but he tolerated. Prabhupada, yes, I never said that you have to give up this, you have to do this, never said. Then gradually, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, when the heart becomes cleansed, then a little, there is no hopelessness. So many people have come, and they are coming, both black, white, everyone is coming. There is no question of race, color, or creed. That's what Prabhupada was trying to say. We do not discriminate on the bodily concept of life. But you cannot expect that 100% people will come. That is not possible. That's the fact. But even 1/4% people come to this, then it will be successful. It's better some than none. Compared to the American population, what percentage have we got? Just a speck. Still, they have made some impression, and the Hare Krishna movement, literatures are selling. They're appreciating learned circles. Take some time, but if we stick to our principles and do not make any compromise and push on in this way, I have given you instruction. It will never stop and it will go on. Just quickly, I've been looking at these videos, not very much. It's a bit of a waste of time in a sense on the social media because everybody's got an opinion there. But there's a proliferation, Yashodanandana Prabhu, of kirtan leaders, Sahajiya ones. Now these people are good musicians. They know how to play the mridanga expertly. They can tap the cartels with great syncopation. And they play the harmonium and sing. But there is no Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale. There is no obeisances to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. They're simply chanting for name and fame because it's a good business. Oh, yes, it is. One of my godbrothers, he goes around, he chants. He's a sannyasi out of Vrindavan. He has a palatial little bhajan kutir there made of onyx and marble. He just spent $30,000 fixing his washroom. He's a sannyasi, yeah. And he gets paid $5,000 to travel to Rath Yatras and chant, and people will pay him. When he comes to Toronto, I have direct information about this. He gets $5,000 and he's put up in the Four Seasons Hotel, not stay at the temple, because it's below him. Very interesting. So much compromise, whether it's preaching, compromise, and Tony Robbins talks, that's what it is. See them every day by different people. And they're making money. Because think about it, Ram Raghava. Is it a good business? Oh, yes, it is. Very good business. Especially when you get tied in with a person and then they're going to die and they leave their inheritance to you. And some of these people leave millions of dollars to these people and they amass huge bank accounts. I call it the $1 billion ripoff, Michael. The $1 billion ripoff. That's what's going on. Some people would say, well, how come you bring that up? Well, it's a fact. Do you want proof? We got proof. Absolutely. There's some fellow over in Europe or in Russia or somewhere like that. He charges each disciple $30 a month. $30 a month. So he just initiated 2 weeks ago, 160 people times 30. How much is that? How much is that, Ron? 130, 160 by 30. And that goes on. You get all this little bit of money and all of a sudden you got millions. He was registered as the third richest man in a particular country. It's a farce. Sahajiism. Rampant everywhere. Fake kirtans, fake gurus, fake everything. Don't be deceived by this. Literatures are selling, they're appreciating and learning. It takes some time, but if we stick to our principle and do not make any compromise and push on in this way, I've given you instruction. It will never stop. It will go on. It'll never stop. But if you change it, it will. At least for 10,000 years, Krishna Katha, Prabhupada says here, it will go on. That is and this movement is meant for these 4th class, 5th class, 10th class men. Not this movement is 4th class, 5th class. They are so fallen that they cannot even be counted, even 3rd class, 4th class, 10th class of men. Deliver them. Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's incarnation is for delivering these classes of men. And Prabhupada spoke this in Toronto. Merciful. Sri Chaitanya never meant to start this movement for high-class Brahmins. Prabhupada was criticized for this. Sages, saintly persons, no. By his godbrothers he was criticized, very much so. Just like our godbrothers criticize us. You're Ritviks. With a disdain in them. You're Prabhupada Nugas. We're not. We're Prabhupada disciples. Don't forget that. Or you're aspiring, hopefully. This class of men, for the all fallen, don't be disappointed. Go on, stick to the principles, yes. When there is no response, I did not know where to live, Prabhupada says. Where to eat. He had no response for a long time. He was staying here and there. Sometimes at Dr. Mishra's, sometimes with some friends somewhere where to live. And I was going to inquire to the shipping company when the next ship will return to India. Still, I was renewing my visa. Let us hope. Let us hope. In this way, we started 2nd Avenue in the month of July, I think. What a glorious story, eh? June or July. Kirtananda. That's June or July. Oh, thank you. Prabhupada. Yes, June or July. Yes, June. Then Hayagriva and Kirtananda Maharaj. They came first. Before that, Mukunda came. Hari Sori. He's the oldest devotee. Mukunda, he is the oldest devotee. Yes, there were others. They have left. Mr. Green. Kirtananda Jagannath Das. I think you named him Jagannath. So, very interesting. Yeah, most people came and most people have left. Or, not only left, the people that have stayed, like in the Gaudiya Math, they've changed everything. All of the philosophy, all of the kirtans, all of the preaching methods. all compromised, all for success in the guru business. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. Let's move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And then we'll have our reading and discussion from the Delhi Bhagavatams. They're really a treasured piece of literature for everyone. We'll move forward with that, and then we'll have the reading and discussion with Yashoda Nandana Prabhu in Twain Heart. I hope it's not snowing there. Hare Krishna.
Sai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jayam Swatharam Shridrajagacharya Siddhara Sadasyaman Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Jai. Ramacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Swami To Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Ganga Mai ki Jai. Jamuna Mai ki Jai. Tulasi Devi ki Jai. Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Swami To Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram chaiva narottamam. Naram chaiva narottamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Tato jayam udirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supremmost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 4. Thanks, everybody, for participating in this Sunday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. As we do every week, we will actually recite a few verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, which explains the meaning and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter. Yadanudyasita yukta karmagranti nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. Intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushoho Sradadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Styanmahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirta Nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done. And as the result of such great service, affinity in the messages of Vasudeva is made possible. Shrinvatam svakata krishnaham punyashravana kirtanaham hridyantasto yabadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, thus cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtaprayeshu vabhadrishu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class, or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye chetayiterana viddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayati. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man, affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord, can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Vidyate hridaya grantis chidyante sarvasamshaya shiyante chasya karmani drishtaevatmanishwari. The knot of one's heart is thus pierced, and all misgivings are cut into pieces. The chain of fruitive actions are terminated along with the seeing of oneself, the dominating factor. So we will proceed with our specific verse for this week. We are reading from Canto number 1, chapter number 6. I believe we're on text number 29. All English synonyms and translations and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Kalpanta idamadaya shayanyam basiudan vataha shisheshyoranupranam vishite antaraham viboho. Kalpanta, at the end of Brahma's one day, idam, this, adaya, taking together, shayane, having gone to lie down, ambasi, in the causal water, udan vataha, devastation, shishishor, lying of the personality of Godhead, Narayana. Anupranam, breathing, vivishe, entered into, antar, within, aham, I, viboho, of the Lord Brahma. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. At the end of the millennium, when the Lord Personality of Godhead Narayana lie down within the water of devastation, at that time when Brahma began to enter into him, along with all creative elements, I also entered within through his breathing. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Nārada is known as the son of Brahma, as much as Lord Krishna is the son of Vasudeva. The personality of Godhead and his liberated devotees like Nārada appear on the material world by the same process. As is said in the Bhagavad Gita, that the birth and activities of the Lord are all transcendental. Therefore, according to authorized opinion, the birth of Nārada as the son of Brahma is also transcendental pastime of the devotee. His appearance and disappearance are practically on the same level as that of the Lord. The Lord and his devotees are therefore simultaneously one and different as spiritual entities. They belong to the same category of transcendence. Text number 30. Sahasra Yoga Paryanta Uttayayidam sisrikshataha marichi mishra rishayaha pranivyoaham chajagnire sahasra 1,000 yuga 43 lakhs of years paryanta at the end of duration uttaya having expired idam this sisrikshataha desired to create again Marichi Mishra, rishis like Marichi, Atri, Angira, Rishaya, all the rishis, Pranivyo, out of his senses, Aham, I, Cha, also, Yagnire appeared. Translation. After expiry of a period of 1,000 times of 43 lakhs of solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, etc. were created from the transcendental body of the Lord, and myself also appeared along with them. Purport. The duration of day of life in the life of Brahmaji is 432 crores of solar years. It is stated also in the Bhagavad Gita, so far another 432 crores of years Brahmaji rests in Yoga Nidra within the body of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, the generator of Brahma. Thus, after the sleeping period of Brahma, when there was again creation by the will of the Lord, through the agency of Brahma, all the great rishis again appeared from different parts of the transcendental body, and Nārada also appeared. This means Nārada appeared in the same transcendental body, just like a man awakes from sleep in the same body. Sri Nārada is eternally free to move in any part of the transcendental and material creation of the Almighty. He appears and disappears in his own transcendental body without any difference of body and soul, unlike it is in the case of other conditioned beings. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshuranmiritam yena tasmai Shigurave namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Bhagavad Vandana Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadate Visheshatah Adadana Strinam Danteridam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Preshta Sat Karomi Swam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, this section of Srimad Bhagavatam is very important for devotees to understand the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and his transcendental expansion, Narayana. This birth of Nārada Muni is very, very important to understand. Prabhupada explains, at the end of millennium, when the Lord, personality of Godhead Narayana, lie down within the water of devastation, at that time when Brahma began to enter into him, along with all creative elements, I also entered within through his breathing. Now, this is very important. Prabhupada explains, as is said in the Bhagavad Gita, that the birth and activities of the Lord are all transcendental. Therefore, according to authorized opinion, the birth of Nārada as the son of Brahma is also transcendental pastimes of the devotee. Now, this is a very important point because the issue comes up several times. What happens to the devotee after he completes his life in this body? Does he go back to God? And let's assume a devotee thinks of Krishna at the time of departure. How does he go back to Godhead? Now, there's a very interesting purport by Srila Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, text number 23. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, text number 23, if somebody can display it. Vasudeva grihe sakshad bhagavan purushan paraha janishyate tat priyartam sambhavantu surastriyaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who has full potency, will personally appear as the son of Vasudeva. Therefore, all the wives of the demigod should also appear in order to satisfy him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 9, the Lord says, Tyakvadeham punarjanma naiti mameti. Bhagavad Gita 4:9. After giving up the material body, the devotee of the Lord returns home back to Godhead. This means that the devotee is first transferred to the particular universe where the Lord is at that time staying to exhibit his pastimes. There are innumerable universes, and the Lord is appearing in one of these universes at every moment. Therefore, his pastimes are called Nitya Lila, eternal pastimes. The Lord's appearance as a child in the house of Devaki takes place continuously in one universe after another. Therefore, the devotee is first transferred to that particular universe where the pastimes of the Lord are current. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, even if a devotee does not complete the course of devotional service, he enjoys the happiness of the heavenly planets, where the most pious people dwell, and then takes birth in the house of a Shuchi or Srimat, a pious Brahmana, or a wealthy Vaishya. Shruchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Abhijayate. Thus, a pure devotee, even if unable to execute devotional service completely, is transferred to the upper planetary system where pious people reside. From there, if his devotional service is complete, such a devotee is transferred to the place where the Lord's pastimes are going on. Hearing it is said, Sambhavantu Surastriyaha. Surastri, the women of the heavenly planets, were thus ordered to appear in the Yadu dynasty in Vrindavan to enrich the pastimes of Lord Krishna. The Surastri, when further trained to live with Krishna, would be transferred to the original Goloka Vrindavana. During Lord Krishna's pastimes within this world, the Surastri were to appear in different ways, in different families to give pleasure to the Lord, just so that they would be fully trained before going to the eternal Goloka Vrindavana. With the association of Lord Krishna either at Dwarkapuri, Mathurapuri, or Vrindavana, they would certainly return home back to Godhead. Among the Surastri, the women of the heavenly planets, there are many devotees, such as the mother of the Upendra incarnation of Krishna. It was such devoted women who were called for in this connection. Now, this is a very significant purport explaining what happens when a devotee completes his pastimes. There's two options. When a devotee completes in this human body his devotional activities, if he's not completely realized and pure, he still will be given a chance for further advancement, either in the house of a pious Brahmana or a wealthy family, where he will be given another chance for spiritual advancement. Or if he's complete, Prabhupada explains, he will be transferred to a universe right now where Krishna is having his pastimes, where he'll be able to practice so he can enter to the Nitya Lila at the end of his life. Very significant explanation by Srila Prabhupada. Just before the class today, I did a little bit of research on the word appearance and disappearance. It seems to me that there are so many different explanations by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada on this point. This is a very, very important point for devotees to understand. How does Krishna appear in this world? How did he disappear? And what happens when Krishna leaves? Is he finished? Is he gone? We know the soul never dies. The Lord never dies. Krishna never dies. Where does he go? This is called Nitya Lila. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Prakash. This is the eternal manifestation of the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. It's like a cycle. The cycle happens again and again and again. So these transcendental activities go on in one universe after another. It does not stop. Similarly, devotees who engage in the process of bhakti at some point will become purified. Of course, for some devotees, it may take a little longer than others, but we're not going to comment upon that at this point. Oh, very nice. Nitya Lila Krishna Sarva Shastrikai Bhujite Napari Lila Kemani Nityahai. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 20, text 385. Description of Krishna's eternal pastimes are all in the revealed scriptures, but one cannot understand how they are continuing eternally. Nitya means eternal. Krishna's pastimes, appearance and disappearance is continuous and eternal. There is no stoppage. Lord Chaitanya says, Bhujite naparidila, kemani nityahai. Ordinary persons, common men, cannot understand how Krishna Lila, Krishna's appearance and disappearance, can be eternal. Generally, we think that Krishna appeared 5,000 years before. Now he's no longer. So either he's dead or gone. Just like ordinary man takes his birth and stay here for some time, and then he goes away. No more. No trace of that particular man's activities. He's lost in the whirlpool of this material ocean. Neither exactly in a similar body that particular living entity will again come back once. This form which you have got, material form, it is just like a bubble in the ocean. It is formed somehow or other according to our past actions and reactions, and it will stay for 100 years at most. Then it will disappear, and there will be no trace where that particular individual soul has gone. Of course, there is account in the books of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedaham samatitani, Bhagavad Gita 7:26. So this is quite significant, the way that how Srila Prabhupada explains this transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, there are some philosophers who think it's called the Moshala Lila, how Krishna departed from his body. These are atheistic, Gnostic philosophers. They think that because Krishna was shot in the foot by a hunter, that he died. Krishna gone, finished, that's it. Prabhupada said that this pastime was arranged by Krishna to bewilder the demons, bewilder the atheists. That's why Prabhupada in one lecture said that those people who think that Krishna's activities and pastimes are mythology, they are demons, asuras. Those who are devotees, those who are on the path of bhakti, understand that Krishna's activities are all transcendental. And even if some activities may seem a little difficult to understand, there is always an explanation. It may be difficult in our position, in our neophyte condition, to sometimes understand the pastimes of Krishna and his pure devotee or pure devotees, but there are always explanations. This is why Srila Prabhupada, when the Nectar of Devotion came out in 1970 in Los Angeles, when devotees first saw this book, they went to Srila Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, this book seems to be very complicated, difficult to understand. Because in towards the end of this book, from the middle of the book to the end of the book, some of these descriptions are very difficult to comprehend. Prabhupada said, if you do not understand, read it again. And devotees asked, well, Prabhupada, what if we read it again and we still don't understand it? Prabhupada, if you read it again and again and again, someday you will understand. But the point is, do we have the sufficient determination and seriousness to read it again and again and again? This is the question we all have to ask ourselves. Because I've met some devotees, just like at one point when I used to work for a law firm, I used to do some legal work for a social club. And what happened when you try to teach some teenagers something, you know what they'll tell you? You know what they'll tell you. 14, 15-year-old, I know, I don't have to hear. When you try to tell devotees something or warn them about something, what do you hear? Oh, I know. Oh, very good. You know. Then why don't you do? Why don't you follow? Why don't you practice properly? Why aren't you more serious? Not you, all of us. Why are we not more serious about the process? This is the influence of conditioning, Maya. For millions of lifetimes, we've been in this world. Millions of lifetimes with so much conditioning, so much past karma. And even after we become devotees, we have to purify this karma. By the mercy of the spiritual master, we've been given the process. But we have to follow the process. Otherwise, if we do not follow the process, how will we understand? Just like the Asuras do not follow the process of proper hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam. They don't hear from proper authorities. So what happens? Although they hear the Bhagavatam, they do not understand. They do not come to the correct conclusion. That is why hearing Bhagavatam has to be done by hearing submissively from a realized pure devotee. This is the instruction given in the Bhagavatam itself and in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Lord Chaitanya was in Jagannath Puri, different people would try to approach him to submit their writings or their poetry. So on one occasion, one poet wanted to submit his writing to Lord Chaitanya, but nobody could approach Lord Chaitanya directly. Everybody had to go through Swarup Damodar Goswami, his secretary. So what happened, this poet, what he did is that he presented the poetry to Swarup Damodar, and Swarup Damodar rejected the poetry. He told him, Bhagavat Paragiya Bhagavatastani, that if you want to understand the Bhagavatam, you have to hear from the person Bhagavatam. What does that mean? Take shelter of the pure devotee. Now, I'm quite aware that there's propaganda that when the pure devotee departs, some people consider him dead, finished, gone, non-available, non-living, non-physically approachable. Is he really gone? Is Prabhupada really dead? Why did Prabhupada say, what we hear from what we have heard from the spiritual master, that is living. Living just in spiritual life doesn't refer only to the physical body. It refers to the transcendental message. So many times on this program, Vishwakarma Prabhu and others, like Rupa Goswami, Ram Raghava, Narasimha Prabhu, and numerous Krishna Kathas, so many devotees have explained this point, that Vani, the Vani of the Acharya, the transcendental instruction of the pure devotee are always living. And what happens when we carefully hear? Prabhupada describes, he lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. This is not dependent upon physicality. That is why Prabhupada used to say, Vani is more important than Vapu. But now we're confronted with a very dangerous disease, a Sahaja idea, which has been propagated by some self-appointed members of the LJEP. Somebody said, what is the LJEP? The Living Guru Experimental Project. These clever fellows want to try to convince you that their physicality, their physical presence is more important than Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, they emphasize themselves. But we say, no, you should always, eternally, constantly emphasize Srila Prabhupada. On the occasion of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance in 1975 in Atlanta, Georgia, USA, Srila Prabhupada said in one lecture, it is not that he is dead and gone. That is not spiritual understanding. So the Vapuvadis and those who have concocted these dangerous, deviant ideologies have not properly understood the philosophy of the Acharya. All of you have heard that famous poetry of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He reasons ill who tell that Vaishnavas die, but this is what they're preaching. Ill reasoning, defective logic. That is why they're more eager to emphasize themselves and to promote themselves rather than promote the eternal position of the Acharya. This is not complicated to understand. Those of you who might know, during Prabhupada's manifested presence, it was very common in the middle 1970s for devotees to engage in lively discussion with various members on the sidewalk in the cities where we were of different religious denominations. And Srila Prabhupada made a very important statement to Brahmananda once. What will your 10 minutes speaking do? Just give him one of my books. Why? 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 When you have a problem, a legal problem, do you go to a plumber? Do you go to an engineer? Do you go to a painter? No, you go to a licensed lawyer, an attorney, because he or she is qualified to advise you and potentially solve your problem. Similarly, for those who have a problem suffering in this world, they have to go to a physician, a transcendental physician who can detect, diagnose the problem, and solve the problem. That transcendental physician is His Divine Grace, Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Now, some people do not accept. They're using terminology like post-mortem, posthumous, post-Prabhupada's books. No, we say current Prabhupada's books. These books are very current. Simply, a person has to develop the sufficient intelligence to hear properly. Just like an intelligent person who has a legal problem has got to understand he may not be able to solve that problem by himself, regardless of how intelligent, of how educated he might be, or of how rich he might be. He has to approach a qualified person. Similarly, in this world, it doesn't matter how intelligent it might be. Namedaya in the Katha Upanishad, there's description that even though a person may be the most intelligent, namedhaya, that is not sufficient. Nabahuna shrutena. Somebody has studied the 4 Vedas, a big Chaturvedi scholar. That is also not sufficient. Vahu pravachanena, very expert speaker, presenter. No, that is also not sufficient. How do we understand when that supreme absolute truth called Atma, when he chooses to reveal himself? That's why in the Brahma Samhita, we see this word, Atma Bhakto, confidential devotee. That is what Prabhupada was trying to tell people. Don't remain in this world. There was an interesting incident in 1976. 2 incidents before I finish here. One temple president in Arizona went to Srila Prabhupada and complained that many devotees did not seem very serious about the process. And Prabhupada said, well, that is because 85% of the leaders in this movement do not follow the regulative principles. That same year, I had a conversation with one of Prabhupada's servants. When Prabhupada was last in Los Angeles, he told that servant that same statistics, 85% of my disciples are not serious about going back to Godhead. And the servant said, oh no, Prabhupada, they really want to go. Prabhupada said, no, they're only interested in being vegetarians and go to heaven. So it's up to us how much seriousness we want to develop, how much serious we want to practice, and then we will not be victimized by the propaganda of the LJEP, the Living Guru Experimental Project, with all their Sahaja ideologies. Remember those who told you that they had seen the truth? Remember those who filed in Washington, D.C., a statement that Prabhupada was a worker for hire or an employee in their corporation? Be aware who you're hearing from. Even though you may be very intelligent, you may be misled by members of the LJEP. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for that detailed explanation of today's verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's important to note that there has been a giant misinformation campaign launched by some living entities for personal material gain. But this process of Krishna consciousness has to be received from the lips of a pure devotee. Otherwise, it's misinformation. And this is called the descending process of knowledge. Because without that facility, we cannot understand spiritual life. It has to be it's not the ascending process where you mentally speculate on things, concoct them, and then you create a particular organization around yourself based on your own material motives. No, it's a descending process of knowledge. That means it's delivered from the spiritual sky. Because this is inconceivable, Dasa Avatar, to understand Krishna's powers, and our eternal relationship with him. I just had that experience in Mexico with our godbrother Gopal, who passed away. Very hard for everyone to understand how eternity affects all of us. There is an interesting Dasa Avatar, interesting lecture by Srila Prabhupada given, I think, in Melbourne, Australia, where Hridayananda was present. Maybe you've heard it. And they talk about a day of Brahma. The day of Brahma is 4,300,000 years. So Hridayananda goes, well, that's equal to, and he makes some funky calculation. And Prabhupada says, no, it's not that way. It's actually 4,300,000 years. Lord Brahma lives for 100 years. One day of Brahma is 4,300,000 days. Times 100 is 4,300,000,000 years. A day, a lifetime of Brahma, and just one Brahma in this universe. How do you understand that? Can you? How do you understand eternal time? Can you? No. Satchidananda Vigraha. Eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Eternity. People, they're captivated by their own material, false ego, mental speculation to think that they can understand this. They don't. Period. And I could see that looking at Gopal in Mexico, lying on his deathbed every day, just slowly dying. He gradually disappeared, yes, okay. But did he understand eternity? He speculated. It is very hard to understand Krishna. It is very hard to understand one's eternal relationship with Krishna without the mercy of the spiritual master who reveals it to his sincere disciple, like Jayananda. Was Jayananda, Michael, a big scholar? No. In fact, he was reluctant to even speak. He was more interested in simply doing service. Was he humble? Yes. How did he conduct himself? He lived very simply. Very simply. He gave all his money to Srila Prabhupada. All of it, his inheritance. He gave everything to Prabhupada. He had nothing. But what did he do? He simply served Srila Prabhupada without any personal motive, except to try to please Srila Prabhupada. And he did. And he achieved, Prabhupada said, he went back to Godhead. So that's a formula for success in spiritual life, is to follow Srila Prabhupada's teachings without any change. Be a simple devotee. Be humble. And know that when you die, you give up everything. I use the term bankrupt. Bankruptcy is not fun. I've never been bankrupt. I've been drained down, though, to zero. I got drained down from millions to zero. It wasn't fun. It was depressing, actually, very hard. But bankruptcy is not fun. But spiritual bankruptcy is a disaster. You go bankrupt. You have to build your Krishna conscious bank account by constantly depositing in that bank account Krishna conscious service, the holy names, the distribution of prasadam, the preaching to others, despite how difficult it is, by the way, Pirangelo. To try to convince somebody is like trying to, it's very difficult. That's basically it. Very difficult, because you're fighting with the material mind. And remember this, the spirit soul is very small. Yes. We may think we're big, but we're not. The size of the soul is 1/10,000th the tip of a hair size. And even that, it's even smaller than that. This is to give us a concept of minute. The living entity is minute. You feel big when you're in your body. Yes, you do. You feel important. You feel independent. You feel powerful. But is there any power when you go down? No. You're insignificant. Most people don't want to hear this. You're nobody in this universe, but you think you are. Why? Because of the mind. The mind is confused by mental speculation, by material aspirations. What is the business of the mind? Dasa Avatar. Thinking, feeling, and willing. That's it. Intelligence is for discrimination, for choice. And above that is the false identification of the self as a body. False ego. This is also a misconception. We're not the body. We're not the subtle body. We're not the mind, but we think we are. Or we think we're the body. What is the body? It's described as liquid beauty. Bile, pus, stool, urine. But we think, oh, look at me. Go in the mirror at the house. You look at yourself. Oh, look at it. Look at how bad I look. That's what it is. You look at yourself. Geez, I look bad. I wish I didn't look this bad. I wish I wasn't this old. You're not old. You're eternal, but the body is getting older, rapidly changing. And from one body to the next, one transmigrates. This is the fact. So I had a question from one of our, let's say, students that I work with here in this area. What happened to Gopal when he died? I said to that person, I'm not Krishna. I don't know. Because the intricacies of action are very complex. Very, very complex. And one should respect that. How difficult it is to deal with your own karma. What to speak of some people that have accepted disciples. Just referring back to Yashodanandana's discussion here. Yashodanandana Prabhu, I looked at a post the other day. I promised I wouldn't say the names, so I'm not trying to target this person because it's not our business. But the fact of the matter is, it's posted on Facebook about Niranjana, who I know, he's from Boston. And nowadays, he's not accepting any people talking to him. He's got thousands of disciples, by the way, thousands. But he can't talk to them because he's so depressed. He's in despair. His mind, he's got to be away from everybody so he can get some sleep and be peaceful. Why would a person accept thousands of disciples and then accept all of their karma, and then all of a sudden they're feeling so distraught by their circumstances and they can't deal with anybody? Why did this happen? Well, the reason is this person had to accept the karma of thousands of people. And you want to be a guru? A Diksha guru? You want to follow a misinformation campaign perpetrated by the fake 11? And you think you'll be happy? And now you're miserable? Look at what happened. There's one of our God brothers, he has 75,000 disciples. And if you look at his physical form, it's tragic. Would you want to trade it, Dasa Avatar? Would you like to have a physical form like his? After you see? And they spent millions of dollars trying to keep him alive. Millions! Because karma is there. And we don't know what will happen to us at the time of death. But we do know one thing: if we take shelter in this life of Prabhupada's service, and we humbly execute it and selflessly surrender like Jayananda did, we can be guaranteed of getting Prabhupada's mercy and Krishna's mercy at that critical moment when we reach our deathbed. Yes. And we have an example with our group of Aprakrita. And Rochisha Devi Dasi and the other devotees in Montreal who I've been talking to really understand the selfless service that Aprakrita performed throughout his life. And he died a glorious death. And we're all confident that because of his selfless surrender, he went back to home, back to Godhead. So there's a formula. There is a formula for Krishna consciousness. And it's being set by the example of great devotees like Aprakrita, like Jayananda, and many others. There are more. And this is the process that we're preaching for everyone to follow, not any other. No change books, no change kirtans. This kirtan thing, Dasa Avatar, is rampant now. It's unbelievable. Everybody's trying to be a transcendental rock star. And Yashodananda Prabhu constantly explains that. They just concoct it all. They're good musicians. They can play the mridanga expertly. They can play the cartels, ting, ting, ting. And they're very good with the harmonium. But do they chant Nama Om Vishnu Padaya? No. And without the benediction or the blessing of the spiritual master, you cannot make advancement in spiritual life. That is a fact. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We're going to move to the review of the unauthorized biography of Srila Prabhupada by one nefarious disciple. And Yashoda, we're preparing a book for everyone to be able to read and refer to. And we're going to go to that section of our program right now with Yashoda Nandana Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. We are reading from the Lilamrita Review, section number 2, on page number 1. And the Lilamrita speculates that Srila Prabhupada was attached, section number 2, page number 1. The Lilamrita speculates that Srila Prabhupada was attached to matter. In the this is from Lilamrita, book number 1, page 88. In the 88th chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada, came upon a verse in which Lord Krishna said something that startled him. Yasyaham anugrinami harishe taddanam shanaihi tato danam tyajantyasye svajanad dukhi dukhitam. When I feel especially mercifully disposed towards someone, I gradually take away all his material possessions. His friends and relatives reject this poverty-stricken and most wretched fellow. Abai shuddered as he read the verse. It seems to speak directly to him. But what does it mean? Does it mean, he thought, that Krishna will take away all my money? Was that what was actually happening? Was that why his business plans were failing? Webster's dictionary defines shuddered as to tremor convulsively, to quiver or to shake. The Shastra, however, informs us that the pure devotee only cares for Krishna's happiness, not any material situation for himself. Krishna's happiness is his happiness. Then we have Srila Prabhupada explaining from Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila, chapter 20, text 52. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that a devotee does not care about his own happiness and distress. He is simply interested in seeing that Krishna is happy, and for that purpose he engages in various activities. A pure devotee has no way of sensing happiness except by seeing that Krishna is happy in every respect. If Krishna becomes happy by giving him distress, such a devotee accepts that unhappiness as the greatest of all happiness. Next, Srimad Bhagavatam explains, Canto 1, Chapter 18, Text 2. Prabhupada says, anything sent by God is a blessing for the devotee. Being fully surrendered to Krishna, the pure devotee knows that Krishna will take care of him. He never worries about such things. Then this is a quotation, doesn't explain where, but we'll read it. The pure devotee is fully surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord takes charge of him. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Aham tvam sarva pape bhyo mokshayishyami. Bhagavad Gita 1866. The Father knows the necessities of the Son and supplies them, and the Supreme Lord knows the necessities of the living entities and supplies them sumptuously. One who is concerned about material benefits from Krishna can be a pious man, but he cannot be a pure devotee. Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada explains, Canto 7, Chapter 10, text number 4. The word artha refers to one who is physically distressed, and artarthi refers to one who is in need of money. Unless one is pious, one cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, although a pious man may receive some material benefit, one who is concerned with material benefits cannot be a pure devotee. The verse cited by the Lamrita concerning Krishna's taking away the wealth of a devotee who is still attached to possessions and society does not appear to be relevant because it does not apply to Srila Prabhupada. It applies to the imperfectly realized devotee who still has material desires. Any statement by His divine grace referring to so-called attachment to family, business, etc., cannot be taken literally. It is simply the expression of humility on the part of His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada then explains from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, Text 19, if a devotee is not mature, Krishna will take away all his opulence. This principle is stated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yasyaham manugrinami arishye tadhanam shanaihi. My first mercy shown to my devotee is to take away all his material opulence. Then Srila Prabhupada explains in Canto 8, Chapter 19, Text number 32. Yasyaham, this is a special favor of the Lord toward a sincere devotee. If a sincere devotee wants Krishna above everything, but at the same time is attached to material possessions which hinder his advancement in Krishna consciousness, by tactics, the Lord takes away all his possessions. Next, we're going to proceed on Wednesday. Prabhupada explained, did Srila Prabhupada have to become settled in detachment? The Lilamrita claims that Srila Prabhupada was so attached to family life that he had to become artificially settled in detachment. Lilamrita, book number 1, page 163. His spiritual emotions were so turbulent that he wasn't thinking of going to Jhansi. He wanted to take a train to anywhere. Then we have Lilamrita, book 1, page 222. Abai spent his time in Jangram, chanting the holy name and becoming settled in detachment from his family. Prabhupada explains, page number 3. Paramamsa as the highest perfectional stage of life beyond attachment and renunciation. We will continue that on Wednesday at 5:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our continuation of the explanation of the meaning of Srila Prabhupada, the Nitya Siddha pure devotee. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, very valuable information, everyone, because it reveals the misinformation campaign that was launched by so many different people for their own personal motives. Yes. And this goes on, whether it's in the political world or the economic world or the spiritual realm, misinformation due to personal ambition. For example, there was they perpetrated a fraudulent flu recently with the motive that they've got everybody, or they tried to get everybody to get a vaccine. And even though it was proven that the vaccine did not prevent the disease, they changed the words again. Hey, Ram Raghava, they changed the words. Oh, it doesn't mean you won't get it, but you won't get it as bad. So like that, misinformation in this particular section of the class or discussion is revealing how people can be misled by others because they're sincere, they want to learn, but they're being misled by people who are personally motivated, Vijaya Pandit. And this is the point. Don't be naive. Don't. And don't let people around you try to convince you that you're naive. They're naive. They're brainwashed and they're lost. And to try to save them will be very difficult, by the way. You can try. Go ahead. beat your head against the wall. Try this, try that, but still they'll still stay in that same diluted state because the living entity operates most people on the plane of the mind. They don't use their intelligence, they just speculate all the time. And it's all based on their own mental concoctions. The mind. You see it all the time, Vijaya Pandit. Here in Canada, they're always advertising mental illness, Pierangelo. You have to get you have to get some advice from somebody else so you don't commit suicide. Suicide is a big problem because people have gone crazy. That's what's happening, and no wonder. They don't know what to do. They get all this advice from all kinds of people, and it's all materially motivated to get money. Greed and lust, they drive the grand illusion. Economic breakdowns are fueled by corruption. We don't need any angry politicians. We have to chant. We have to take shelter of the transcendental message of Srila Prabhupada. And that is the medicine that'll cure people in this Kali Yuga, because that's what we're in. A very big, deceptive state of affairs is going on with everybody, and we're all victims of it. Yes, because you can't avoid it. We're going to go over to our friend, Monsieur the Docteur Ram Raghava. He has some very interesting experience with this hoax of the flu, but at the same time, he might have some questions that have come up on YouTube. Ram Raghava Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to mention there we're suppressing the information about how much damage the vaccine was causing among certain populations, like young men.
Oh, really?
Myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart.
Oh.
There's other effects also about infertility for young women. So that goes on. First of all, I wanted to let everybody know that there were up to 12 people watching on YouTube live stream. Only 10 right now. No questions today, but I do have a question. And I also wanted to let everybody know that my wife, Bhakti Yunus, just informed me that we got the shipment of the Acharya book, Acharya for the Golden Age.
Oh, yeah.
We were excited about that. So I'll be sending a donation tomorrow. So we got 30 books. We're excited. So thank you to Yashodanandan Prabhu and Vijay Pandit Prabhus. The question I had was, Arjuna asked Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, or says to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Chanchalam hi manaha Krishna pramati balavadridam, that controlling the mind is harder than trying to control the wind. So my question is, when we're chanting, because it's important that we think of Krishna, how do we control the wandering mind when we're chanting our japa, chanting Hare Krishna? Is there something we're supposed to be thinking? That might benefit everybody who's listening also.
Yashodanandana, if you could answer.
Prabhupada explains in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that when we chant, especially the japa, one should chant audibly. Now, I realize that some people have quoted, I've heard devotees quote from the Hari Bhakti Vilas, where Sanatana Goswami says that the highest form of japa is silent japa. But if Srila Prabhupada tells us that when we chant japa, it should be chant audibly and to pay attention, then we should do that. Everybody is familiar with that tape, the recorded tape of chanting japa, where Prabhupada tells the devotee, sit properly. Because Prabhupada was aware that many devotees were tired and they would sit, they would, fall or sometimes fall asleep or all different kinds of, there's numerous instructions. If you look on the PrabhupadaBooks.com or the database and you put japa, there's literally dozens and hundreds of instructions from Srila Prabhupada about how to chant japa, of what he wanted and what he expected. But the bottom line is to chant and hear the name of Krishna, chant the Harinam, and this will purify. Because the question also comes up with this chanting of japa with some devotees. Well, I've been chanting for some time, but I still have problems with this, problems with that, and this difficulty, that difficulty. There's a very interesting statement in the Hari Bhakti Vilas where it is explained, Bhumos Kalita Padanam Bhumi Reva Valambanam Tvayi Jata Paradanam Twameva Sharanam Prabhu. A devotee prays to Lord Krishna. One of Krishna's name is Prabhu, the master. That might take shelter of you, my dear Master Krishna. And it is described that just as a person who tries to go up a slippery stairway will succeed by trying again and again and again. Similarly, even if there are aparadas or offenses in the beginning or at some point, one should just try again and again, and ultimately it will come to the clearing stage and the offenseless stage. But the point is, one has to practice the chanting on a regular basis. When I remember, I had a conversation with a devotee in Florida one time in 1993. He was saying that he was so busy with work and the family and this and that, he didn't have time to chant because he was doing so much driving. And I said, well, it's funny you say that, because when I was in Canada, I used to work for law firms and do a lot of driving. Even in the United States, I had to do a lot of driving just to get to work. I said, do you have a tape recorder? Do you have a device that you can hear tapes or CDs or whatever? He says, yes. He says, why don't you put Prabhupada there, have him chant, and you chant with Prabhupada? He says, well, I didn't think of that. I says, well, I didn't think of that myself. I tried it and it works. Put the samsara prayers when you start. Put the japa tape. Where there's a will, there's a way. If somebody is serious about following Prabhupada, Krishna and Prabhupada will give the intelligence how to understand. I was just having a discussion yesterday with Vijay Pandit. We were discussing, why is it that some people, they read the same books that we do, and they come to a very different conclusion? They don't seem to get it. They don't seem to understand. Why? Why? Prabhupada explains in one lecture that verse, that famous verse in chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha, I give knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. And Prabhupada said, the Mayavadis, they're very intelligent. So those who want to forget Krishna, those who want to utilize their intelligence to forget Krishna, Krishna also will give him the intelligence that you interpret this verse from Bhagavad Gita in this way, you interpret this verse from Bhagavad Gita in that way, in this way they'll forget Krishna. They will never understand Krishna. So those who want to forget Prabhupada or misuse his teachings or interpret or misinterpret his teachings for personal self-aggrandizement or whatever motivation, Krishna is also giving him the intelligence, bewildered intelligence, that you interpret this statement in that way, go cherry picking in that way, forget this statement in that way, and we see the level of bewilderment. Srila Prabhupada's teachings are not that complicated to understand. It only becomes difficult if there's personal motivation and personal desire for name, fame, power, profit, adoration, distinction. Then it's very difficult to understand. Why? Prabhupada predicted it in a letter in July of 1970. As soon as there is personal motivation, it is not possible to understand our Krishna conscious philosophy. Look it up. It's right there. Why is it that some people who had so much physical vapu association with Prabhupada don't seem to get it, don't seem to understand? That is why. The personal motivation factor. They're more interested in love, puja, pratishna, profit, adoration, distinction, than submissively hearing from Prabhupada and following. That's why when it was suggested in the beginning, don't start these Vyāsasanas, don't start all these pranam mantras, don't start all these guru pujas. Oh, they became very angry. Oh, how dare you? Who are you to suggest? Oh, these are big devotees. These are successors and appointed devotees. One devotee told me, these are giant acharyas. Oh, really? Okay. What happened to the giant acharyas? Phalena parichayate. One judges things by its result. Those who are in the legal field, they know. Sometimes there's a trial, good attorneys will point out, judge the thing by its result. Look at the result of what happened by the behavior of this person or group of persons. It's a powerful argument, but they still can't answer. But again, what to expect from those who claim that they have seen the truth? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Excellent. And I wanted to refer to your comment about sit properly. It's a very interesting comment, because I have a godbrother, Rochan, and he had a problem. His legs wouldn't sit flat in the yoga position, so he had to have them. They're like upright like this, and I was talking to him on the phone, and he says to me, "Yeah, Prabhupada told me to sit properly. That was Prabhupada that told me to sit properly." And he took pride in that. But actually, I heard a few other godbrothers told me the same thing. That Prabhupada told me to sit properly. Because when you listen to the japa tape, in the middle of the japa tape, you hear sit properly. And everybody there, you automatically become correct in your seating posture. But so many godbrothers that I've spoken to thought that Prabhupada was telling them, I'm the person that Prabhupada chastised. Sit properly. And Rochan was taking pride in that. I got chastised by Prabhupada. And by the way, just before we go to this question from Rochisha Devidasi in Montreal, remember this, Prabhus. When you get chastised, it doesn't mean you're being punished. You're being given advice, and it might be a chastisement, but it's not meant out of anger. It's meant out of love to help you be corrected. For example, a student, he may be chastised by the teacher, but it's not because they're angry. They're trying to help the person. But some people won't take it because of their false ego. Don't tell me anything. Who do you think you are? Well, I'll tell you who I am. There's the door. Go. Just go. If you don't want to take good advice, if you don't understand the motive, if you don't understand the purpose, if you don't understand these things, it's because you are covered by your own false ego. And for me, you're wasting my time. And time is the most valuable asset that we possess. And when you waste time with other people, you'll never get it back. Remember that. Because you'll see, you won't judge an action by its result. They don't listen. You're not helping them, and you're not helping yourself. So remember that. Rochisha Devi Dasi, you had your hand up.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Let me see. Okay. Please accept my obeisances. I'm studying the Krishna book, and at the 5th chapter, at the end, when Nanda Maharaj meet with Vasudev, he said, although the last child was a daughter, Kamsa could not kill her, and she has entered into the celestial planets. So I was very surprised to hear about that. She didn't grow up with Devaki and Vasudev.
Yashodanandana, maybe you could comment. Was that clear, her question?
Not really. I've not.
Could you repeat that again, Mother?
Okay, at the end of the 5th chapter, Nanda Maharaj was meeting with Vasudev, and Nanda said, although the last child was a daughter, Kamsa could not kill her, and she has entered into the celestial planets. That means she didn't grow up with Devaki and Vasudev, and
well,
she
this
just
is
left.
That particular aspect of Krishna's Lila has many different components. There's Lord Balaram being born, there's the Mahamaya, Durga, being born, and
Yes.
when Kamsa tried to misbehave himself, this Durga came. So this was very, very troublesome from Kamsa because he was trying to kill Krishna, but he couldn't find Krishna. Because what happens, Lord Balaram was born before Krishna. Lord Balaram is Krishna's elder brother. Then Krishna was born. So you have a situation, there were numerous transcendental activities taking place, and to bewilder Kamsa, this Durga came. And in the Krishna book, Prabhupada explains the exalted position of Durga. But Durga cannot be killed or affected by any materialistic demoniac person.
Mhm.
So it's like very, very bewildering to see that sequence of events for a materialistic person. But it's all very clearly explained by Srila Prabhupada in the Krishna book. I mean, this is like somewhat of a mystery. What happened to Durga? Well, Durga is one of Krishna's associates in the material world, one of Krishna's agents. She cannot be affected by the material energy. She's a special empowered personality, one of Krishna's agents. So when it says that she went here or there, her Leela did not finish after this transcendental pastime. It continues. That's all I can say about that. But you're welcome. If you go on PrabhupadaBooks.com and look at the word Durga or the word Balaram's birth or Krishna's birth, there'll be so many references where Prabhupada explains that sequence, because sometimes it becomes a little difficult to grasp what happened. But Kamsa definitely was very bewildered at this. He could not understand what happened.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, it's 11:45. I just wanted to make a comment, however. If you're on the live Zoom call, there is a very prolific chat going on amongst all of the God brothers. So many different quotes, so much explanation of philosophy simultaneously being presented to the people on this group by our God brothers in the chat during the live Zoom broadcast. So very interesting and extremely informative.
Yes.
So that's the point. The purpose of our group is to be informative in terms of the philosophy of Srila Prabhupada, so that people will not be misled by misinformation. That's all. And we want to thank everybody for being a part of our program. And it's being recorded on the Hare Krishna Society YouTube page and being broadcast for future generations on our channel. So a lot of people are going to the classes at times that are convenient for themselves. Because some of us, we're in different time zones. It's not convenient to be at the program and a live broadcast, but it is convenient for you to turn on the YouTube channel, Hare Krishna Society, and there you'll find all kinds of classes, Michael, that you can refer to and enjoy. The association of the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society membership. Yes. So we want to thank everybody. In fact, we have thousands and thousands, over 100,000 views of our programming. 100. And hopefully it'll expand to millions in due course as things unfold in our journey of devotional service back. And this is part of our program. Not only this, but the printing and publication of books that we're creating. Yes. And we'll be distributing, as Ram Raghava just got these beautiful books from our God brothers, and other books in the future that we'll be publishing and distributing through our offices globally. Yeah, if you look at the end of our program, we have a list of all the offices. I think there's 19 of them. If you're interested in being a part of that office environment, you're welcome to get in touch with us. And when we reformat our slides, we'll put your name on there so that people know there are people, other people that are here in this environment that are ready to share information with you in terms of your Krishna conscious practices. Yes. And if anybody ever wants to get a hold of me, people or Yashoda, myself, you can call me anytime on Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or on my cell phone, no problem. And I'll be happy to talk to you about different issues. If we made mistakes, we apologize. Sometimes we may make a mistake, but it's not our intent. You know, it's far from that. We've all made mistakes. But at the same time, our purpose is one, to protect the legacy of Srila Prabhupada in his books, in his letters, in his lectures, and repeat what he says to the best of our ability. Thank you, everyone. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We'll move forward with the chanting of the Hari Nam. Yeah, thank you. Call me up anytime. We'll move forward with the chanting of a Hare Krishna mantra led by Srila Prabhupada for 2 minutes and 54 seconds. Thank you, Ram Raghava. And we'll go from there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like these are trees, and we're full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks, everybody, for participating in this program. And thanks especially Vishwakarma Prabhu in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Ram Raghava Prabhu in Brighton, Georgia, Rochisa Devi Mataji in Montreal, Canada, La Naudière dans les montagnes des Laurentides. And we have Pier Angelo in Switzerland, Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California, Krishna Kata in Alpine, California, San Diego, and Narasimha Prabhu in Cedarville, California. I just want to make a correction about the little book Acharya for the Golden Age. That book was compiled and edited. I was just assisting him by Narasimha Prabhu, a very scholarly devotee, very Brahmanically devotee. He lives in an ashram there in Cedarville, California, in the utmost northern part of California. We're very appreciative of his dedication to Srila Prabhupada. Ron Singh in Oroville, California, Cantadas in Trinidad, and everybody in this program. Thank you so much for participating. Please come tomorrow morning at, not tomorrow morning, on Thursday evening at 5:00 p.m. We'll have the program for the Sri Chaitanya Charitam reading. Please join us, and not to forget Rupa Goswami Prabhu in Mumbai, India. Please stay with us for 2 minutes or so. I don't know exactly how long it takes.
Prabhu.
There's a little kirtan with devotees in Jamaica. Very interesting kirtan.
It's Wednesday night.
Wednesday night. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the I stand duly corrected. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,